Hello everyone, this is Brocoder here, and today we have a toy problem called Fibonacci. Fibonacci. It's very Italian. So Fibonacci is essentially a number sequence, and um, what what the toy problem wants us to do is input a number and wants our function to spit out the number in the sequence uh, with that index almost. So let's say, so this is an example. This is the wiki page for Fibonacci. And let's say our function had an input of 3. So it wants us to then spit out number 2 because it would be 1, 2, 3. It's the third number in the sequence. So first, we got to understand what Fibonacci is. And Fibonacci numbers are essentially, let's say if we were given the index of 4, it's essentially the sum of the two previous numbers. So 3 here is the sum of 2 and 1. So that's essentially what we're doing. Depending on what sequence you're given, if they tell you to start at 0 or they tell you to start at 1, it'll change. For instance, this sequence starts at 0, but this sequence starts at 1, so depending. So we're gonna tackle this problem, and if you're not familiar with Fibonacci numbers, a quick look on Wikipedia is a good idea so that you know what kind of problem you're tackling and not just kind of dive in. So here's our function, and from the wiki page, we know that the Fibonacci number is essentially the sum of the two previous numbers. And so we can accomplish this by iterating or creating a for loop and then returning the right Fibonacci value. So first, let's since we already know it's a for loop that we're probably going to be creating here, let's do that. Let's create our for loop, and we know its number. And so since we know that it's a number right here, and that's what we want to return, we probably want to make I equal to that number, just because that's the index of the Fibonacci number that we want to return. So if we just left this like this, it would return the index of, or the Fibonacci number that's in the index of 19, and that's not what we want. We want number 20. So we should set that equal to 20. And here we see that the Fibonacci index of 20 is 4,181. So that's the number we need this function to spit out when we input the number 20. So first, let's create a variable. And this variable is going to be results or answer. And that's going to be the current index, pretty much. And we should set that equal to 1. Whoop, whoop. And we kind of want to return this answer. Again, return answer. There you go. That's a good habit to have. If you know that your variable is the answer that you want to return, might as well just put it down there already so you don't forget. So we know that's the case. Now, as we said before, Fibonacci numbers are the addition or the sum of the two previous numbers. Why don't we create the first two numbers in our sequence? So let's create a variable, var, let's call it first number. And the first number in our Fibonacci sequence is 0. We know that. And let's create the other variable, var, second number. And we know that the second number in the Fibonacci sequence is 1. So we know that. Now, essentially, what we want now is our third number. And in order to get the third number, we need to use our for loop. And in our for loop, it starts at 0. But we already have a 0. And we also have a 1, which are placeholders right now for the first number and the second number. So we don't want to start at 0. We want to start at 2 because that's our third index. And in this for loop, essentially what we want to do is we take our answers variable over here, and we want to set that equal to answer is equal to first number plus second number. Now, essentially what we're saying here is in this for loop is, hey, look, I want first number plus second number to equal my answer. So 0 plus 1 is equal to 1. So our answer variable over here, or our variable over here doesn't change. It's still 1. Now, what we want to do is second number. What we want to do is second number is equal to first number. And essentially what we're doing is we're incrementing by 1. So the first number's value is 0 here. Now we want first number to have a value of 1 because we're moving up the increment, or we're incrementing over the for loop, and we want to change that value so that we get a different value when we put a different number, or when we increment as we go up. And then what we want to do is over here, first number is equal to result, equal to essentially the answer. And what you want to do here is essentially, hey, look, I want my first number to equal 1. So now what we're doing is, originally we started with essentially 0 plus 1 is equal to 1. Now we've incremented, so we've bounced from here to here, and now we want to add 1 and 1 so that we get 2. And as you can see, 1 and 1 equals 2 over here. So, and so on and so forth till we hit the 20th number. And once we hit 20 over here, this will add the previous 2 numbers of the Fibonacci sequence, and we should get 4,181. And let's see if that's true. So, did I save? Yes. And there you go. So we've created a Fibonacci sequence over here, and we've added the last 2 numbers, and we return them, and that's why we get 4,182. Now we can even try that with different numbers. Let's go with the 19th number, which should return, I believe, 2,584. 2,584. There you go. And let's try that right now. 2,584. Whew! That worked. And we can go change that value as we go along, and that should still remain correct. And thanks for watching, and